Ladies and gentlemen, remember this. The quickest way to lose your dream is to announce it to people who were never meant to protect it. The world is loud, opinions are endless, and the moment you reveal your next move, you invite voices that can shake your confidence, dim your clarity, and slow your journey. Today, I want to show you the power of silence, how keeping your next step hidden can become your greatest strength, your sharpest strategy, and the very reason your dreams finally come alive. There comes a moment in everyone's life when the heart is full of dreams, yet the world around us feels loud, demanding to know what we are planning next. People will ask, "So what's your next step?" They'll probe, they'll guess, they'll assume, and sometimes, without even realizing it, we give away the blueprint of our future. But the journey of growth often requires a sacred silence. When you understand the value of protecting your purpose, you begin to realize that not every intention deserves an audience. Not because others are bad, not because the world is against you, but because your dreams need time to grow their roots before facing the winds of opinion. When a seed is planted, it is covered. It is given darkness, solitude, and stillness. No gardener digs it up every day to show the world how far it has come. If they did, the seed would never sprout. In the same way, your next move needs the humility of silence. It needs the safety of obscurity. Your dreams need a protected space to develop strength before you expose them to the voices that may misunderstand, discourage, or dilute them. People do not always act out of malice. Sometimes they simply do not see the world the way you do. Their fears become the lens through which they view your aspirations. Their insecurities echo into their advice. And if you're not careful, you can begin to doubt your own clarity because of someone else's confusion. When you keep sharing your plans prematurely, you risk inviting unnecessary opinions into your sacred process. A gentle word of doubt from someone you trust can sometimes feel louder than the inner voice that guided you in the first place. Silence is not secrecy, it is strategy, it is wisdom. It is choosing to honor your inner journey before displaying it to the outer world. When you hold your intentions close, you allow yourself the freedom to navigate without pressure, without noise, and without the weight of expectation. You allow your mind to remain aligned, your actions to stay focused, and your heart to stay protected. There is profound power in working quietly. When you act without announcing, you conserve your energy. Instead of explaining your dream, you spend that energy building it. Instead of convincing others why something matters, you use that strength to bring it to life. The moment you stop seeking external validation, your progress accelerates. You no longer move for applause, you move for purpose. And purpose-driven action is always stronger than attention-driven action. Sometimes life teaches us through disappointment. You share your next move with someone, expecting support, but receive sarcasm or skepticism instead. Or you reveal your plan too soon, and pressure builds, making you anxious rather than inspired. These experiences are gentle reminders that your next step is yours alone to shape. Not every path is meant to be discussed. Some are meant to be walked silently until the results make the noise for you. The world we live in constantly encourages oversharing. Every achievement, every goal, every tiny progression is broadcasted instantly. But true transformation happens in the quiet corners of your life, when nobody is watching. Strength is developed when you are alone with your thoughts, your doubts, your hopes, and your inner resolve. When you choose silence, you choose depth. You choose intention. You choose authenticity. It's not about hiding your life. It's about honoring your growth. It's about understanding that the journey is delicate and that your dreams deserve protection. When the time is right, the world will see. They will witness the fruits of your discipline, your patience, and your quiet perseverance. And when they ask how you did it, you will smile, knowing that phases of your journey were kept sacred, untouched by judgment or interference. So, move forward with quiet confidence. Let your actions speak the language your words don't need to. Trust the timing, trust the silence, and trust yourself. Your next move is not a performance, it is a personal evolution. And evolution requires the kind of peace that comes when you choose not to share your plans, but to live them. And when you choose to live your plans instead of announcing them, something shifts within you. You begin to feel a sense of ownership over your journey. You start noticing that your mind becomes clearer, your priorities sharper, and your intuition stronger. When you don't have to constantly explain yourself, you create room for inner alignment. You discover that silence is not empty. It is full of answers. In that protected space, you hear your own voice more distinctly than the noise of the world. You begin to realize that your next move is not just a step forward, but a step inward, a deepening of who you are becoming. Every dream comes with its own timing, and rushing to reveal it can sometimes disconnect you from the very patience required to fulfill it. When you keep your plans private, you're not withholding, you're nurturing. It's like holding a delicate flame in the palms of your hands. Expose it too soon to the wind, and it may flicker out. But protect it with care, and it grows strong enough to light your entire path. The world doesn't need to see the flame while it is still fragile. It only needs to see its radiance once it burns bright. There will be moments when your silence will be misunderstood. Some will assume you are distant, secretive, or unambitious, but silence often indicates the opposite. It shows you are serious. It shows you are committed. It shows that you are more devoted to your progress than to the perception of progress. And that is a rare strength. Many people speak far more than they act. They announce grand plans, impress others with their intentions, but struggle to follow through. When you break that pattern and choose silent action, you create a quiet discipline that becomes your power. In silence, you also learn the value of self-reliance. You begin realizing that your confidence doesn't need to be built on external approval. It grows from the actions you take, the obstacles you overcome, and the resilience you develop along the way. The less you depend on applause, the more you depend on your inner drive, and that inner drive, once strengthened, becomes unstoppable. It allows you to move with conviction even when the path is uncertain or challenging. Your next move is your responsibility, but it is also your opportunity. It is your chance to rewrite patterns, redefine priorities, and recreate the narrative you want to live. And no one else needs to understand that process for it to be valid. Sometimes you are rebuilding yourself quietly. Sometimes you are healing. Sometimes you are learning. Sometimes you are preparing. The world doesn't always recognize preparation, but preparation is what shapes destiny. When you keep your next move close to your heart, you allow yourself the grace to grow at your own pace. The beauty of silent progress is that it eliminates unnecessary pressure. When no one knows what you are planning, you are free to change direction without explanation. You are free to fail without embarrassment. You are free to restart without judgment. You are free to explore without limitation. This freedom is essential because growth is not linear. It comes with detours, experiments, breakthroughs, and setbacks. And these stages are easiest to navigate when your process is not being observed or commented on by others. As you walk your path quietly, you also learn to trust the subtle signs that life offers. You begin paying attention to your intuition, your energy, and your inner calling. These guiding signals often get drowned out when too many external voices enter your space. But in silence, you hear them clearly. You recognize when something feels right, even if no one else understands it. You recognize when something feels wrong, even if everyone else approves. This inner clarity becomes your compass, leading you toward choices aligned with your authenticity rather than your anxiety. Remember that people can only advise you from the world they have experienced. If someone has never walked your path, they may not comprehend your choices. They might project their fears, their failures, or their limitations unknowingly. Protecting your next move is protecting your energy from those projections. It allows you to build based on vision rather than fear. It gives you room to dream boldly without being confined by someone else's caution. Every chapter of your life reveals itself at the right time. There is no need to announce the draft before the story is ready. Let your growth unfold naturally. Let your efforts mature quietly. Let your progress gather strength behind the scenes. When the time comes, your results will speak with a volume that silence never could. And when others witness the transformation, they will admire the outcome without realizing that the real work happened long before they noticed. Walk gently, move purposefully. Let your silence be your sanctuary and your discipline your guide. Your next move is a sacred promise between you and your future. Honor it with quiet strength, and it will lead you exactly where you are meant to be. And as you continue honoring that quiet strength, you will begin to notice something remarkable. Your relationship with effort begins to transform. When no one is watching, you work not to impress but to improve. You begin taking actions because they feel right, not because they will be seen. This shift is subtle but profound. It turns your journey inward where true change takes root. In silence, your discipline becomes genuine. Your focus becomes sharper, and your motivation begins flowing from a deeper source than external validation could ever provide. There is a certain purity in working quietly. It removes the temptation to perform for the world and replaces it with the integrity of private commitment. You start measuring your progress not by how many people notice, but by how far you've come from who you once were. The absence of public pressure turns your journey into a personal meditation. You learn to appreciate the small victories that no one else sees. The mornings you choose consistency over comfort, the choices you make that strengthen your character, the moments you push through doubt with nobody cheering. These victories, though invisible to others, become the foundation of a stronger you. When you protect your next move, you also learn the value of patience. You realize that progress is rarely instant and often unfolds in stages. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight, and a dream doesn't become reality in a week. But silence allows you to stay committed without rushing. It gives you space to develop, adjust, and refine your path. Without the pressure of expectations, you can take the time needed to truly build something meaningful. And in that protected space, you learn that patience is not passive. It is powerful. It is the quiet confidence that what you are working toward will manifest at the right time. Life often tests your resolve in the silence. There will be days when the progress feels slow, when doubt visits your mind, when the path ahead seems uncertain. But these are the moments when silence serves you most. Because when there are no external voices, you are forced to confront your own. And this self-confrontation builds strength. You learn to encourage yourself. You learn to uplift your own spirit. You learn to replace self-doubt with self-belief. This inner resilience, once developed, becomes something that no external circumstance can easily shake. And as you continue to progress quietly, something else begins to evolve. Your humility. When you don't announce your journey at every step, you naturally stay grounded. You realize that your work is not about proving yourself, but about improving yourself. This humility becomes a shield against ego and a magnet for wisdom. You start embracing the beauty of being a learner, of staying open, of growing through experience rather than applause. Humility allows you to move forward without feeling the need to justify every step or seek validation for every achievement. It roots you, steadies you, and keeps you aligned with the purpose behind your journey. In silence, you also find the courage to dream bigger. Without the noise of others' opinions, you give yourself permission to imagine boldly. Dreams that once felt too ambitious suddenly feel possible. Paths that once seemed intimidating begin to feel inviting. Without the weight of external judgment, the horizon opens up. You begin trusting that if something resonates deeply within you, it is meant for you. And that trust fuels a deeper level of courage than any encouragement from others could provide. Your quiet journey also teaches you discernment. Not everyone who listens deserves access to your dreams. Some people uplift, others unintentionally discourage. Silence helps you recognize the difference. It teaches you to value quality over quantity, not just in relationships, but in all areas of your life. You begin choosing connections that inspire growth, environments that nourish your spirit, and decisions that align with your long-term vision. This discernment becomes a filter that protects your energy, your ambitions, and your peace. Over time, the silence you once chose intentionally becomes a natural part of who you are. It becomes your strength, your clarity, your grounding. You no longer feel compelled to share every idea or every step. Instead, you move with quiet assurance, knowing that not everything needs to be spoken to be real, and not everything needs to be visible to be powerful. You learn that some of the most transformative chapters of life are experienced privately, understood quietly, and revealed naturally through the outcomes they create. And eventually, your growth begins to speak for itself. Not through grand announcements, but through the way you carry yourself, the decisions you make, the peace you radiate, and the results you achieve. People will notice the transformation without ever knowing the details of your journey. They will see the strength, the wisdom, the confidence you've built, but they won't know the silent battles you fought or the disciplined steps you took. That quiet work becomes your hidden treasure, the part of your story that belongs only to you. Your silence becomes your sanctuary. Your actions become your voice, and your life becomes the proof that sometimes the most powerful moves are made without a sound. And as your life becomes that quiet proof, something even more meaningful begins to unfold within you. You start understanding that silence is not merely an absence of words. It is a presence of strength. It is a space where intentions settle, where clarity rises, and where your inner world finally has room to breathe. In that breathing space, you begin to feel more connected to your purpose than ever before. You recognize that your next move is not just about what you want to do, but about who you are becoming in the process. And this realization deepens your commitment, turning your journey into something sacred. In the stillness of your progress, you also rediscover a powerful truth. The world doesn't need to know your direction in order for you to move forward. So often, we believe that plans need permissions, dreams need discussions, or ideas need confirmation. But when you walk your path quietly, you realize how liberating it is to trust your own instincts. You understand that your future does not depend on someone else's understanding of it. It depends on your consistency, your courage, your faith, and your willingness to walk alone when needed. And when that understanding settles in your heart, your steps naturally become more intentional. There will be times when you catch yourself wanting to share your progress, not out of pride, but out of excitement. Those moments are natural, but with experience, you learn to channel that excitement into action rather than conversation. You begin to enjoy the sweetness of silent milestones, the small breakthroughs, the personal victories, the little moments of growth that no one else witnesses. There is a unique joy in knowing you have achieved something quietly, without applause, without validation, without an audience. That joy is unlike anything public recognition can offer because it comes from self-respect. As you deepen your journey, silence becomes a form of emotional protection as well. Not everyone needs access to your vulnerable stages. Not everyone needs to see your uncertainties, your early drafts, your half-formed ideas. When you keep those moments private, you guard your emotional energy from being drained by unnecessary opinions or misinterpretations. You protect your heart from being discouraged by voices that do not understand the fullness of your vision. And in doing so, you give yourself permission to grow without fear of judgment. That emotional safety becomes one of your greatest allies. Quiet progress also teaches you the value of intention. In a world full of noise, distractions, and urgency, silence brings you back to what matters. It reminds you to choose your actions thoughtfully, to align them with your deeper values, and to move with authenticity rather than haste. You begin to realize that rushing does not lead to fulfillment. Alignment does, and alignment is best cultivated in the calmness of your own quiet reflection. Silence becomes the space where your intentions refine themselves, where your choices become more meaningful, and where your path becomes clearer. As the journey continues, you may look back and see how much you have grown in moments of solitude. You will notice how many obstacles you overcame silently, how many doubts you dissolved with faith, how many steps you took without announcing them. And you will see that it was precisely these unspoken moments that shaped your resilience. Growth without an audience gives you confidence without dependency. You begin to trust your internal compass more than the external opinions that once influenced you. That trust becomes the foundation of your future decisions. You may also realize that silence has made you more observant. When you are not busy explaining your plans, you have more time to notice the lessons along the way. You see opportunities more clearly. You detect patterns that once went unnoticed. You become more aware of your strengths, your weaknesses, and your potential. Silence sharpens your perception in a way that conversation cannot. It allows you to hear the whispers of intuition, the nudges of conscience, and the quiet guidance life often offers. Over time, you also notice that your relationships begin to shift. You naturally drift away from those who drain your energy and gravitate toward those who nurture your peace. When you prioritize inner growth over outer noise, you attract people who value authenticity over attention, depth over drama, and sincerity over spectacle. These connections support your journey rather than distract from it. They respect your silence rather than question it. They appreciate your growth even if they don't see every step, And in this quiet selection, your circle becomes smaller but stronger. As you move further along your path, your silence doesn't only protect your dreams, it elevates them. It allows them to grow free from the limitations of others' expectations. It gives them room to develop naturally without being judged, measured, or compared. And when those dreams finally bloom into reality, they carry the purity of a journey made with intention. People may admire the outcome, but you will know that the real achievement was the quiet perseverance behind it. That perseverance becomes your true strength. In this silence, something else extraordinary happens. You start valuing your own journey more deeply. When you don't constantly share it, you experience it more personally. Your victories feel richer, your lessons feel deeper, your transformations feel more intimate. The journey becomes yours in a way that is difficult to explain but impossible to ignore. This personal ownership becomes a source of profound fulfillment. And as you continue moving forward, guided by inner clarity and protected by silence, you begin to embody a powerful truth. Your next move doesn't need to be spoken to be real. It simply needs to be lived. And in living it quietly, you discover strength, wisdom, and peace that no amount of applause could ever provide.